Yo, what's up, guys? This is JH,
I'm Brandon.
and this is the Chop It Up Show. We are doing something a little different.
Yes, sir.
Brandon and I, we chop it up all the time, and we get some great insights coming out of there all the time. We figure, man, we have similar audiences. We're partners at the same firm. We live in the same neighborhood. We live in the same apartment complex. Let's have a video podcast show where we can connect with the audience and dive a little deeper with them. What do you think?
Yeah, we're focused here on bringing more value, right? We're trying to create content that is impactful and trying to answer all the questions that come through comments, DMs, text messages, emails, what have you.
Yeah, and since we're just kicking it off right now, there's always questions in the DMs and we can look through those. But right now, I have some questions for you that I know you get all the time and that I just have maybe personally, and maybe there's some value that comes from that. But so you right now probably one of the top men's fashion influencers. Share one thing. I want to talk about one thing business and then one thing maybe not, but just share what's that like right now? Like, are you on offense or are you waiting for deals come to you? Are you finding deals? Like, do you have an agent? Like, how does that whole thing work?
This is a great question, and just like to catch people up. So I went to school for economics, worked on Wall Street for 3 years, and started my blog in my cubicle.
Right.
And then later on, it kind of caught fire.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it full time for about a year. And yes, I do have an agent.
Right.
And yes, I am on offense.
Right.
I try to be cunning like a lion.
Right.
So I believe that there's an opportunity for you to be so, not like routine, but change things up enough and create habits where you can have instincts. A lion isn't taught how to go grab a gazelle, right?
Right.
They naturally know it. But after a while, like, they have to learn from folks and pay attention to their environment.
Right.
And so that's what I'm learning how to do. So yes, my agent does pitch me on a regular basis and people do reach out to me.
Right.
But I'm always on offense. So I'm meeting with agencies. I'm meeting with the head of brand strategy. I'm reaching out on Instagram. I'm DMing. I'm commenting.
Right.
And I'm always jumping on calls and always sending people my media kit and just doing whatever I can to get out there.
Right.
ABC.
Right.
Always be creating.
Done. What's one thing about this in the past year that you've learned that maybe has surprised you a little bit?
One thing that has surprised me, I think the one thing that has surprised me is that folks don't like change. And when you're creative, the landscape always changes.
Yeah.
And there are quite a few folks who are having a hard time with the landscape changing, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram. And I think we are, sometimes just at the, how do you say it? We're at the will of what these platforms let us do. And so this, I think, is one way that we're taking ownership as creators, is creating economies of scale.
Yep.
So if Instagram is your only, you have to get on YouTube. You have to get in voice. You have to do public speaking. You have to do all these things.
Yep.
Right? So we're not a jack of one trade. We're master generalists. At least we're trying to be.
Yep.
And so that's one thing, is some people have getting that punch in the chin and they're not getting up.
I mean, you say that, and I think of Donald Glover. I think
Proving
that
it out right
he's
now.
a guy who is just making it clear that, I originally was tempted to be in a lot of things at once.
Right.
And I think that it's generally maybe because it's hard and because there's an art to it.
Yes.
Maybe folks have generally taken this perception that, hey, you shouldn't be in a lot of things at once. You got to, focus and what have you. And I agree. There's a degree to which you have to focus on a craft maybe when you start to get good at a decent pace. But he's a guy who's proving out this whole master generalist thing. I love.
Yes.
He's producing shows, he's writing, he's acting, he's on
And you've
comedy.
been able to see his come up.
Yep.
Guys like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, you didn't see them before. Right. You didn't see them before they had X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
With Donald Glover, you seen him when he was on Community. You seen him when he had a stand-up show on Comedy Central. And you seen him on his first album. You seen him on Camp, which was like a mixtape, or Royalty, way back in the day. And I think 5-10 years ago, folks said that jack of all trades, master of none. Now people are saying, you build one core strength, and then now you create economies of scale using that core strength or that one win. There are a lot of people who are going off one win right now. So tell me about some of the characteristics from Donald Glover. You talked about how he's master generalist, but are there any specific characteristics? Like obviously with the This Is America that just came out, like he's hitting on a lot of culture and pop culture and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, I don't spend that much time thinking about other people. I spend a lot of time thinking about how what I'm thinking about a lot right now is it's the essence of what you asked. It's like, how can I take one thing that underpins a lot of my career, like the foundation, and then just build and build.
Can you walk us through that process? For me, that process looks like, Wall Street paper may be my first win or my first building. And then now I'm leveraging that to have a second building. Maybe Harlem Capital is the second building. The third building could be professional speaking.
Right.
The fourth building could be podcasting and building that community, building that city, building that state, that country that's like yours.
Okay. So that's interesting because you look at it in your mind like as a city. The way I view it is like I view it all as one building versus them being separate buildings and like creating a city. I see like in my mind the way I think like laying down, when you develop, you first have to, dig out, tear down anything that's there, demolish, and then you dig out and then you start laying all the groundwork.
And then, so these are levels.
These are levels.
Floors, if you will.
Floors in the same building. And every once in a while, I had a mentor tell me, he said, John, you have heart and you have tenacity, so you're going up the stairs. He's like, I never questioned that you're going to be going up the stairs, but every once in a while, you have an elevator moment where like a big deal comes your way or like
levels you up.
There's a slice of there's a slice of life maybe that comes your way and you could go up 10 floors in one.
This is a great point. Can you talk about one or two of those slices?
Or
those those lifts?
Those lifts. So I'm incubating a TV deal right now, and I can't talk much about it on record, but if this goes for me, this ends up being a fucking elevator moment.
Right.
Like I want this to go on the record just so it's on there. Guys, if we look back a year from now,
timestamp.
And this is a timestamp moment, and my show gets picked up. We shot the pilot. The network liked the pilot.
Yep.
If my shit gets picked up, I guarantee like this is that moment where a lot of the foundation, if not all the foundation that I've been laying across the trajectory of my 7 years doing all this, everything from the Harlem angle to the investing to building companies to being in media, this is kind of like the confluence of it all. If it gets amplified through this TV thing, this is the elevator moment. I go up 10 floors. And the cool thing is that since we're in business together, we're all going up elevated. 10 floors. From getting you guys on the pilot, that's just this, for starters. But beyond that, there's let's talk about one thing that we have going on right now. And that is we have the potential, right? For people watching, it's interesting because they have people in their circles that they can potentially build with.
Right.
But I know that we've been thinking about it a little bit more proactively. So what do you think, as it relates to you and I specifically, would be like the most effective ways for us to build with each other? I know we've talked about it before. I want to riff on it again so people listening can understand how it is that we think about stuff like this.
Right. I mean, I see everyone as a media company. No matter if you are a bodega in Harlem, no matter if you are SoulCycle, or no matter if you are a Facebook. Every single thing you do has to be promoted and amplified through media because the internet has kind of democratized the opportunity for folks to get their voice out. So for us, being media players, why wouldn't we create media together?
Right.
Why wouldn't we start leveraging each other? I have this saying that I have, like, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. I think that's what we're doing at Harlem Capital. And I think that's what you and I can do in terms of media. We live in the same neighborhood. We're business partners. We have a lot of the same mission. And we're just on the same parallel pathways. So I thought for us to start creating content together, whether it's voice, whether it's video, what have you, pick it up, right? We also have been speaking a lot together as well.
Right.
And so I think if more people start seeing us together, we can start leveraging each other, and it has that iron sharpening iron effect.
And on top of that, right, come like thinking about it from a capitalist perspective, right? Like I have earning power.
Yes.
You have earning power. For each of us, we have stronger earning potential in some areas over others.
Yes.
I speak more often, so I probably can flex more there. You do social brand deals more often, so you can flex more there, right? So for anyone like listening, I think it's really interesting that there's probably someone in your circle that has a muscle that they can flex that you can't, but when they're when they work together, you can do more with it. Right. So like you can push more weight if everything is stronger, tighter, working together. So anyway, that's the way I'm viewing it. It's like, okay, we each have deal potential. What if we combine it?
Yeah.
Can we make it
You're
bigger?
talking about value, I believe. So like you're talking about what value can you give to somebody to elevate them? So if you want to jump into that, actually, can we talk about like some of the valuable skill sets, or like how do you find people with superpowers? Because like we invest in companies, right? And we're trying to look for a founder who has superpowers, who has solved a problem, had an aha moment.
Well, what's a deal that you brought to Harlem Capital? Because for folks watching, I was not. I started with Co-Found Harlem, which was a Harlem incubator.
Yes.
And that was really the inception of my Harlem Capital journey. You, Henri, Jared,
Yes.
Came together about the same time I did, but in a different lane.
Yep.
Talk to me. I'm actually genuinely curious. What are, one of the deals that we've done that have excited you? Why? Like, talk about one of the deals that we've done that's been special to you.
Yeah, and just to give everyone a backstory, like Harlem Capital, early stage, seed fund in the venture capital space,
Right.
focused on investing in people of color and women.
Right.
We have a goal to invest in 1,000 diverse entrepreneurs
10 down.
over the next 20 years
Right.
to help change the face of entrepreneurship.
Right.
So now that we got that out the way, shameless plug, looked at about 300 to 400 companies, invested in 6 startups right now.
Right.
8 companies all together, but 6 startups.
Great recap.
One of the right, people got to know. But the first company that I thought that was really cool, who I actually did some work with, and then it turned into an investment opportunity, was Blavity.
Okay.
Blavity, for me, the way I explained it to folks is, if BuzzFeed and Huffington Post had a black baby, everyone gets it right quick. And that's when you have to. I usually do that for folks who are not of color or who are not women,
Right.
because they have to understand, like, what is this black media company, and how is it actually a venture capital backed company?
And how'd you come in touch with them originally?
So through Blavity, I did some social media work. So I was doing Instagram and Snapchat takeovers. So
Okay,
folks, remember, a lot of times you have to just get your foot in the door somehow, some way.
Some way, bro.
But that usually comes through your first win.
Exactly.
Right? There's so many people. Like for
Right.
me, I'm in fashion right now. All the guys and gals who own fashion companies, a lot of them are just business people. And they're big time investors, or they have restaurants, they have this, they have that. People have economies of scale. When you break down business, it's usually just like the core principles.
Right.
And you can apply them to every industry.
Right.
So for me, my first win through Wall Street Paper, I had the opportunity to work with a black media company.
Right.
And so I was doing Instagram takeovers and Snapchat takeovers for Fashion Week.
Right.
What happened was we formed Harlem Capital, and we had the idea, should we reach out to Blavity to potentially invest?
Right.
And so luckily I was on their Slack channel. Slack is an amazing app for communication for growing teams, specifically in the startup realm. And I DM Morgan, the CEO, and she said happened to be fundraising.
Wow.
And what happened? She was in New York in the next 2 weeks. We had a chance to talk back and forth, and all the way through that opportunity of just like having Instagram takeovers, Snapchat takeovers, we were able to invest in a company.
That's dope, because that's a living example of what you just talked about. Like you got in how you could, and so that what you just talked, that is what I'm spending a lot of time thinking about lately. It's like, okay, we've been in the game long enough to now we're players in the game.
Yes.
Like, this is what it is, because we've been at it for as long as we have, which has not been terribly long. We're not 20 years in the game.
Nope.
we are at it as long as we've been at it and we've been focused. And so now we're players in the game. And I just think all the time about how can I level up? Sometimes, I don't know if you feel this, but sometimes I start to get restless with like the stage where I'm in and I start to get scared almost. I'm like, wait, like this stage needs to be, I need to go to the next level.
I'm with you right here. So for that example, I got through Wall Street Paper and doing Snapchat takeovers and Instagram takeovers. But Harlem Capital was ready for the opportunity to meet with Morgan and invest.
Right.
I see that what you said earlier is like being ready so you don't have to get ready for an opportunity. That goes so much further to say that I believe that your physical representation is just what happened in here. Like your life is a physical representation of your mind.
Right.
And so if you level up in your mind, like you were saying earlier, you get uncomfortable.
Right.
You do a lot of things differently, create new habits, then you get new outcomes and you can level up.
That whole point that you just made is literally what I've been spending a lot of my time thinking about. You said that your life is a physical representation of your mind.
Mental, bro.
I've been searching for those words for fucking years. Though I've felt that and I've understood it experientially, and I think it shows in the way that I do what I do, but I haven't had those specific combination of words to aid me. And I think that's what you just helped me out. Like this is an actual moment in which you helped me out, because what I've been doing is I've been finding myself, I haven't been as caught in the weeds of activity. Like just running around, because I just genuinely don't feel that right now that's the best use of my time.
Right.
And it's fascinating. I saw an interview. There's like a well-known interview, Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, and so, they're just like having a conversation.
One, or is there a newer one?
This is an older one.
Okay.
And someone in the crowd asks, I'll never forget this. He was like, "Hey, Bill, Warren," he's like, "I just want to understand what your calendar year is like. What do you do throughout the year?" And Bill said, he's like, "Well, I spend, about 50 weeks out of the year working and about 2 weeks out of the year kind of thinking and relaxing." And
I believe in there he talks about being like having no distractions.
Well, right. And
during that 2 weeks.
During the 2 weeks. And Warren Buffett was like, "Well, that's funny because I do about the opposite." He's like, "I spend 50 weeks out of the year thinking, reading."
And he gets about 6 hours a day of reading, correct?
He reads about 6 hours a day. So, and people, I think, are tempted to say, well, yeah, he can read 6 hours a day because he's a billionaire, but I think it's the opposite. I think when you're spending more time thinking, higher level thinking creates higher level results. And anyway, just to bring it all the way back, like that is what I've been thinking about lately. Like, yeah, I can fucking kill it at this level that I'm in now, but I don't want to keep operating this level. I need to operate in a greater level. So for me, that's meant taking a lull on the restless activity and spending more time thinking about what I can do.
To bolt on to that point, I would add a saying from Jim Rohn, who was a mentor to Tony Robbins. He's no longer with us. He said, "Work harder on yourself than you do on your job," right? And so that means for you to be developing undistracted time, money, and resources into building you, becoming a better brother for me, becoming a better son, becoming a better friend, reading ferociously, listening to motivational speaking, getting my body in the right shape. And the consequence of all of that is having the opportunity to be better in every single facet of my life.
Right.
Most people right now spend 50 to 70 hours working at a job that they don't care about.
Right.
Mundane time, mind-numbing, and just going through the motions.
Wow.
And then afterwards, they try to gain their life back, doing things that have nothing to do with providing value to their life, because they're trying to have fun. They're trying to have enjoyment.
It's crazy because I actually can no longer fathom
doing that.
Spending so much time. And it's crazy because I'm coming from a reality of that's exactly what I used to do. Yeah. But I can no longer.
Being a doorman, how much time did you sit on your butt?
Just doing anything other than exactly what I want to do. I can no longer fathom doing anything but exactly what I want to build. And that's a blessing. And I think that is a really good place to wrap this up.
Yep.
This is a nice taste of what's to come.
Great taste.
Chop it up. We're just gonna be chopping up. And you know what? I like that name. I like this format. We're gonna leave a lot of room to explore, get creative, bring people on.
It's an open format. This is a very open, flexible, agile format.
We just asked each other a bunch of questions, flowed through it, and wrapped it up. So
yeah, we hope you guys got enjoyment and are getting some type of like tangible takeaways here.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of this.
I agree. Some tangible takeaways. Dig in, ask questions, and go from there. So once again, guys, JH here signing off.
It's your boy BB, Mr. Brandon Bryant. Holla.
Hey, catch us
Go
on
Cavs, go Cavs.
Catch
go
us
Cavs.
on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah, let's throw the handles out there.
Let's throw the hand.
What's your handle?
Listen, I'm at John Henry Style, and listen, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm at John Henry Style on every platform. B, where you at?
I'm at Wall Street Paper on every platform.
Cool. So look for this.
And make sure you guys check out Harlem Capital.
Check out Harlem Capital. We're throwing a lot of shout outs out there, but I want to play with this on Instagram stories. So if you're seeing me right now and you're on Instagram stories, swipe up and go to the show. Listen.
Yes, sir.
Check it out.
Do the same for me. Swipe up.